Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me again today. A huge welcome to my new subscribers and as always a lovely warm welcome to my existing subscribers. Thank you all, each and every one of you, for subscribing to my channel and for joining me today. What I wanted to share with you today is my page for Angela Kerr's friendship journal, and this is it here. And just very quickly, before I take you on a guided tour, can I just say a huge apologies for the state of my hands. They're never very pretty at the best of times, but this last week or so we've done a huge amount of decorating, had carpets laid, and unfortunately my poor old hands have have taken some knocks and bangs and scrapes, and I don't seem to have a single nail left. So please try and focus on the journal and or the page, and not my hands, which are appalling. So I'm sorry about that. You can watch them improve over the next few weeks. Anyway, enough of that frippery. This is my entry for Angela Kerr's friendship journal. Angela wanted an A4 page of either tea or coffee stained paper, folding in half to make a little 4-page booklet, if you will. So the size is A5, which for me was a little bit daunting, because if you know me, you know that I work with journals that are a lot smaller. But actually, once I got into it, I really enjoyed it. So I chose some gorgeous paper. It's called Nagasaki. It's a digi kit that paperArtsy do, and it is absolutely beautiful. The only problem I had working with the Nagasaki collection was trying to decide which one to use, because every single page and all the tags and tabs are absolutely beautiful. So please go and have a look, check it out, because if you like feminine and light and stunning and with some beautiful images, then this is the one to choose, or the digi kit to choose. I chose this particular page because it had hydrangeas on, and it's also got alstroemeria on, and I've tended to use it throughout to give a little bit of cohesion to the little booklet. And I wanted to work with soft pastel shades, which is what Angela wanted. So I took this page, tore it using a tearing ruler, inked round the edges and stitched it on, and I've done that on every side of this booklet. This side I created a side pocket, and because I knew that the tag that was going in it had got lots of edges that might catch, I lined the pocket with vellum, and so as not to reduce the size of the pocket, when I made this chiffon ruffle, I stitched it onto a separate piece of vellum and then attached it to my page, so that I wasn't actually stitching through the pocket to secure it to the page. I mean, it's very, very strong, it's very sturdy, it's not going to come off, but that's just to mention how I did it. It's another way to stitch or attach your ruffles to the page. At the bottom I put a little heart. I hand drew a heart template and then cut out that heart from 4 or 5 pages of scraps of the Nagasaki paper to create this little heart. I then fussy cut a little daisy from some lace and stitched it all together using some pink crochet cotton. Because I've used vintage pages, French exercise book and ledger pages throughout, I wanted to put a little bit on this page again to give it cohesion all the way through. Because I know Angela likes her butterflies, I put a tiny little die cut butterfly up in that corner. So that's my first page. This is the tag that I made to go in the pocket. So there was an image of some pinks and carnations on the front, which I backed onto just book pages with some machine stitching, zigzag stitching around the edges. I layered up some lace and stitched on a vintage button. And then there is a side pocket here, edged with this trim, this lovely lace trim, which to me looks like butterflies, so that's why I wanted to use it. This is a library cabinet card, so I did a little bit of fussy cutting and glued it onto the page using Ranger Matte Medium, inked around the edges and stitched around the edges, and then backed it with some designer paper and did a bit more collaging on the back with a vintage stamp, which I franked with a stamp using Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. Then there's some ledger paper there, a little bit more stamping in that top left hand corner. I only had a very little bit of sari silk that was the right colour for this project. This was silk chiffon, which is lovely and fine, but I also wanted to use sari silk, and I just had a piece about 6 to 8 inches long with hints of green and pink and cream, which was just absolutely perfect for this project. And I only have about, I think it's about ½ an inch left, so it was absolutely the right amount for this project. So that library cabinet card goes in there. I've tied the sari silk with a little bit of crochet lace. There is another pocket at the top here, and I loved this image, so I made a tag using more of the paperArtsy paper, stitched this image on, and I've, if you can just see there, I've put a little bit of gauze and sari, some of the sari silk behind the name tag for the orchid, which I've created into a little name tag and stitched it on there. More of the sari silk at the top with some crochet cotton holding it in place, and then just some Janet Marsh book page at the back. So that goes in that front pocket there, and then flipping it over, just some French exercise book there on top of the Janet Marsh book page, which is what I've backed my card with, or my tag with. This is a design that, for this tag, this is a design that Jacqui Chimes came up with quite some time ago, and I have to say I love using this design and making this tag. It's a nice fun challenge, lots of layers. Going inside, again, as you can see, I've lined the page with the Nagasaki paper. I've put a little bit of vintage text at the top there, and I've created a glassine pocket to try and keep the bulk down a little bit for Angela. So I took a big glassine envelope, I folded it in half, stitched around the edges to create a pocket at the front here and another one at the back. I've layered underneath with some more of that butterfly trim, and I've decorated the front of the pocket with some more lace, some more of the chiffon silk, a fussy cut image here, which I've layered lace behind to act as a frame. Sorry, that banging is one of my cats coming in through the cat flap. Hello, Cooper. Hello. Sorry about that. I created 2 little tags. One I printed Friendship on, and the other I just put a number on. And actually, if I thought about it, rather than putting the number 205, I should have actually put 2020 on there, so that Angela would have a date reference in her friendship journal. But it's a little bit too late now. I put a half pearl on it as well to add a little bit more interest, and I also cut out one of the little daisies from some lace trim. So that's the front of the pocket. This is the tag that goes in the back, more of the butterfly trim at the top, stitched around the edges and inked some layering with lace, music paper and Tracy Fox label, which I've stitched. And then on the back, some collaging, some more lace, another little friendship tag there for Angela, some stamping, and that's all inked and stitched, and that goes in the back pocket like so. In the front pocket I've backed an image with some more French exercise paper and some lace. When you turn it over, there's a butterfly image which is cut down the middle because these are handles, and this is an origami envelope box. So inside, there's a little lace tab there to help you pull out this booklet that I've made using vintage ledger paper, and I've lined the inside of the box with some English ledger paper. So that just goes inside there, and that folds up like so. Moving on to this page, again, page is lined with the Nagasaki paper, stitched and torn and inked around the edges. Then I've created a long pocket here using some botanical book pages. I've used some vintage French deed paper on the front for interest, some more of that lace trim. These are Ranger Ideology acetate butterfly wings, so I've popped one of those on there with a half pearl, and then there is a long tag in the pocket with some collaging on the bottom. And as you can see, I've trapped a little bit of lace behind the eyelet, and again used some more of this lovely sari silk tied with some pink crochet cotton. And on the back, some more collaging and stamping. There's some washi tape there, Tracy Fox envelope, Tracy Fox label, not an envelope, and a vintage stamp. I don't seem to be able to leave the back of my tags plain. If I see an opportunity, I want to collage them, I'm afraid. So I hope that's all right with you, Angela. You haven't got much journaling space really in this little pamphlet. This is where I own up, because I had intended that behind this flap, this page would be a complete envelope or a pocket. But unfortunately, I got so carried away creating this pocket and stitching it to my page that the pocket that I've created is only that big. So I'm sorry about that. I've lined the flap with some more of the vintage French deed. I've tried something new here. I've tried a technique called piping, which is quite common when you do upholstery work with fabrics, where you take a piece of material and you put a piping cord in the middle and you trap it in there. Well, I decided I would try that. So there's a couple of pieces of twine that have been encased in this pale green paper, and I've created an edge to my flap by doing that. I've also created a couple of button loops here, and they're pretty robust. They would work to hold the page shut, but to keep the bulk down, I decided I would magnetize this flap, so that will hold nicely in place with some discrete magnets. There's, as you can see, a butterfly image on the front there, and then going inside here, as I say, there is one pocket at the front which is that size, and I've popped in my little envelope, my letter to Angela, giving some details about myself, because she asked for some details to put with each page in her friendship journal. So that goes in the front pocket. There is a back pocket, and that is as big as the whole A5 page, and in that I've just put a piece of vintage ledger paper in there, French ledger paper for Angela to use or leave in there as she will. So that closes, and then going over to the back page, I've added in an extra page by trapping in a piece of the Nagasaki paper that I printed onto some vellum, and then over the top of it stitched on some tea stained paper, and again it's all stitched and inked and torn. At the bottom I've put on a little bit of the butterfly trim, and then I've layered up my business name, Oak House Journals, and created a little pocket for my business card for Angela, and also this little tag, which again is collaged on the back with some vintage papers and vintage letters. So that goes in the pocket there. And then if you open this flap up, you can see where I've printed the Nagasaki paper on the vellum. I've created a pocket on this side, and there's a big tag in it, which is backed onto some green paper and then some ledger paper. There's a little bit of lace in this corner here, a Tracy Fox label, a little bit more lace there, a tab here with an eyelet, and the last little bit of the lace, sari silk, to go in that eyelet there, and some collaging again on the back. And then this is a computer card, and then here you can see the rest of that vintage French deed, and I hope you can just about make out the date, which is 1893. So there's a genuine piece of a French deed in there for you, Angela. So that is my page for Angela's friendship journal. I hope it's not too bulky for you, Angela. I hope also that it's in keeping with the pastel themes that you wanted for your journal, and I really hope you like it. Now that I've finished this video, I will wrap it up and pop it in the post to you first thing in the morning, and with you being in the UK like me, you should have it within the next couple of days. So thank you so much, Angela, for setting out that challenge for us to have the pleasure of joining you in, and also thank you so much to each and every one of you that's watched today, and don't forget, I love you all. Take care. Bye bye.